Welcome. This is Christopher Scott, the hip hop social worker, and I just wrapped up a barbershop talk, and I wanted to just kind of discuss, what went down. So yesterday, um, you know, we had a barbershop talk. I thought it'd be a good idea to have it in June because June is Men's Health Month, Mental Health Month. So yeah, we was figured, it'd be a nice way to cap it off. About nine of us showed up. You know what I'm saying? With barbershop talks, especially around like mental health, it's weird because like you want a lot of people to show up, but then you like a real group person knows that like if the group is too big, it's not going to be beneficial. So it's kind of a weird balance. Like you don't like you want it to be good, but you don't want it to be like 100 people showing up, right? So there's about nine of us though, and I feel like that was good because we was talking and look up and an hour and a half went by, so it was pretty quick. But we was in there rapping about life, trying to figure out just our place in this society as black men, and it was good. I feel like I didn't realize how much I wanted to talk until I got in a circle, I got in a circle because usually I try to stay in the back, but this time, because the turnout was lower than I expected. I was like, well, I'll get in a circle and we can figure it out. And I got in a circle and I was speaking and I was like, man, I didn't realize how much I wanted to speak. Usually in these situations, I'm the facilitator. I'm the group person, and when you're the group person, you don't want to talk too much, because you want people in the group to, talk, right? So, but this time I wasn't, I was in there, I was speaking, and I was like, man, at a time I had to sit back. I was like, dang, I really didn't realize how much I wanted to speak about certain things. So I feel like it was good. Talked about fatherhood, my goals for this summer. I work in education, so in the summertime, I'm on duty. I'm dad. I hate to say dad duty, but I'm the parent who's at home. Talked about fatherhood and all that comes with it. You know what I mean? Just the pressure, doing too much, doing too little. Yeah, we just talked about all that stuff. There was something that was on my mind about fatherhood. And I know that young man, he got murdered out in Florida. Somebody chased him down and shot him, right? And it's like, man, my oldest daughter is about 8. I'm gonna have to have that conversation soon. You need to be mindful of what you're doing out there because you don't really have room for error. You know what I'm saying? If people suspect you of doing any kind of wrongdoing, they will kill you, and that's not hyperbole. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's why I'm so hard on my kids because I feel like they can't make a mistake. You know what I'm saying? And that's just I don't know. I don't know if that's just me kind of. I don't know. I feel like when you black, my kids are mixed, but they look black enough. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. When you black, you out in the community, people have perceived notions of, you're up to no good, you're a troublemaker, you're dangerous. You know what I mean? It don't matter how, it don't matter if, no matter, it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Every single archetype of black person you might think exists have been murdered by somebody because they felt their life's in danger, right? No matter if it's the roughest, toughest person presenting, or it was, the nerdiest, gentlest person, every single archetype has been killed by somebody because they weren't following orders, they were messing off, whatever. So, just thinking about that and how that plays into my fatherhood and how I raise my children. And I feel like I need to be a little softer, but I also have that thought in the back of my mind, when it's time to go, when it's time to do things, you have to do them. It's not, you have a small margin of error. So we talked about that a little bit. Yeah, and it was a cool space. I know I mentioned, the attendance earlier, and whoever shows up to the barbershop talk, gets the service, right? You know what I'm saying? It's not really about having it super lit, you know what I'm saying? Because that's not what it's about. The people who show up want to talk about what they're going through. If you wanted something super lit, super live, throw a party, you know what I'm saying? But it's hard to balance that out, though, the barbershop talk, because you want a good turnout, But you also know that if it's just me and two other people here, we gonna talk it out. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just what it is. Whoever shows up deserves to speak their mind and to get their needs, worked out, right? Or gets their thoughts in order, So that's, yeah, it was cool. We had it catered by Plant-Based Poppy. He's a vegan caterer. He's more than a caterer, but yeah, I reached out to him. He was super cool. I was like, man, I got this amount of budget. Can you work with me? He did, and I hit him up again. Said, hey, man, can I get the same menu for the same budget? He said, for sure. So hopefully we can work together soon. He's a big, he's a vegan, plant-based, chef. So his mission is about health and all that stuff. I know, man, it's real out here for us. You know what I'm saying? Like it's real. Health and wellness is real. We got to do what we can do to be around. I feel like, turning 40, I feel every single meal that I eat. I feel every single time that I'm on my ass not doing nothing. I feel it. I feel it like ASAP. You know what I mean? So I say all that to say I appreciate everybody that stopped by yesterday and ready to talk. We was all in there being vulnerable. It was it was a good time. Saying, like I said, the time went by. Look up, I'm giving out time checks. Like, hey, it's about 5:45. We should probably wrap it up. But yeah, the next goal is to see how we can get this done more. I feel like, gotta do more. Once a year is not gonna cut it. Once a year is not gonna cut it. Once a week probably is at minimum what you need, like to build what you want, to build a space like a revolving door of people to come and get what they need. Cause, my guy, Michael Waller, LCSW, he presented us with a question at the end. He has said, hey, do you guys know that, suicide rates amongst black men is rising? And he asks, what do we think is the contribution? And it was a few questions, a few answers to that question. Pressure, was one of them. Social media was another one. Expectations, or being overwhelmed, not having the resources to go out and find things, or just not having the knowledge to go out to seek what you're looking for, what you need. So, but we can't ignore that either. Like that's something we can't ignore. We're suffering out here, and the rising, number of suicide lets us know that, man, it's not a game. People need help. And you could try to bog it down, put it down, put it to the back. Oh, I'll worry about that in a minute. I'll worry about that later. Or, it's too big. I'll thug it out. We've been thugging it out, for generations. But, that's why we're here. That's why the social workers are here. We're supposed to connect those gaps. Supposed to, bridge those gaps, be a dot connector per se. So